I started to put a little bit more effort in, and I got more and more busy. And especially as I have kids, it's nice to have that time back and know that I'm sitting with my children and getting a, hey, thank you so much for sending me the birthday card, or, all the extra stuff that Lauren's doing.
You're listening to Breakthrough with Coach B, where we help you work less so you can earn and live more. Our mission is to free you from the unnecessary, the repetitive, and the draining, so you can focus on what you love, excel at, and grow your business. Let's dive in. Hey, it's me, Coach B, and thank you for listening to this episode of Breakthrough. If you're thinking, man, it kind of sounds like he's in an airport right now. Well, that's because I am. I'm actually recording this voiceover in the Victoria airport as I'm about to head out to Toronto for a couple of days. A lot of work, a lot of fun. I'm going to be recording 3 episodes for you that'll be coming out in September, 2 of which are with the team at Richard Robbins. I get to chat with Richard Robbins himself and his amazing daughter, Jamie. And then I'm going to be interviewing RE/MAX Canada's #1 agent and sometimes #1 in the world, Mr. Faisal Suziwala. More on that in September. Just wanted to give you a heads up. We are going to be taking a bit of a break from the show over the month of August. So this episode you're listening to right now is the last one that we are releasing before our August break, but we're excited to bring a number of new concepts and guests and exciting insights, all to do, of course, around the breakthrough method. So all that to say, let's talk about this week's episode. I am so excited. This is a collaboration with some longtime coaching clients of mine, Cody and Kim LeClair. They are a mother-son team based out of Edmonton, Alberta. They're licensed with RE/MAX River City. And Cody and Kim's stories is quite an interesting one because long as I've been coaching with them now, which is apparently, I didn't realize this at the time, but coming on nearly a decade, they've been kind of doing it themselves. Yes, they have themselves to be able to share workload and coverage with, but as far as the marketing, running the marketing systems, running their administrative systems, etc., they've been doing it all themselves, despite my best efforts to chip away at that mentality. And you know what? I don't know if it was just because they wanted to shut me up, or maybe they saw some validity in what I was trying to get them to do, but they decided to make a hire. And it wasn't your traditional first hire. I'm going to leave it as a cliffhanger for the episode for you to find out, but it wasn't an administrative assistant they hired. It was actually someone else to run a different system within their business. Something that at first, I'll be honest, I was a little skeptical about. But after seeing it in action, it's now become a standard process that I do encourage people to consider looking at. We're going to talk about how hiring small is actually often a better approach than going big right off the bat. We're going to talk about the tools and how they delegate to their team member without micromanaging. Of course, once they've got stuff off their plate, we're going to talk about what they do with their free time. How do they keep productive and busy and keep building their momentum? This is a great, great interview with 2 amazing humans. I think you're going to hear the chemistry that Cody and Kim have coming right through the speakers. And I'm excited for you to listen to it. So all that to say, let's dive into this week's episode of Breakthrough. Imagine freeing up 10 hours a week to focus on what you love, personally and professionally. Ready to get started? Our free guide walks you through the first step, a resource review to identify where you spend your time, money, and energy. Download it now at bradenwheatcroft.com/review or find the link in our show notes. Let's get you closer to your breakthrough. I'm going to start by asking you, Kim, about your background, because as far as I know, you're the out of the 3 of us, the one who's been licensed the longest. So could you give us like the 2-minute drill version of who is Kim LeClair? Where are you from? Because obviously I know this stuff about you, but our audience wouldn't. When did you get into real estate? Yeah, give us the little 2-minute background.
Well, you know what? When did I start? I started in 2002. Before that, I worked at Safeway and Woodward's for 24 years and 4 months. But my brother was a realtor and I watched what he was doing and went to one of his open houses and thought, hey, I could do that. So I got my real estate license when I had 4 young kids at home. My youngest was 9 and I thought it's a perfect time. So got my license and started in April of 2002. And I didn't pass with flying colors, the test. I think I got 2% over, but that was all I needed to get into the business.
Yeah, that's the slight edge advantage. You only need to be 1% better or 1% over the line to get the full license. I hear you on that. So you said it was a grocery store, and is Woodward's, is that clothing or furniture? What was
Woodward's had a food floor as well, and I worked on the food floor at Woodward's, and then it transitioned into Safeway when Safeway bought it out.
Wow.
So, surprisingly, living, on the north end of the city and working in the same place for that long, I was a familiar face in the area. So, when I started real estate, people would go to me, "Oh, I remember you."
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. And I don't think you mentioned where you live. So if for me to say Edmonton is probably not specific
I
enough.
actually live, in Sturgeon County, just north of Edmonton, 15 minutes.
Nice. We're not going to, just so you know, discussions around the Edmonton Oilers are banned from this interview.
They can't be.
Talk about them. They're good.
Yeah. That's awesome, Kim. And so you've been in real estate since 2002. Have you always worked with the same, like, I know you as a RE/MAX agent, but have you always been with RE/MAX, or where did you start?
No, I started with Sutton Synergy, and what's really funny about this story is if we go back to 2002, Cody, how old were you? See, he was young,
Yeah.
14 years old, and we were driving around, and there was a real estate office by my house, and I thought, that's really close, I can walk to it, and Cody and I are driving, and he goes, "Why wouldn't you just become a RE/MAX agent? Outstanding agents, outstanding results."
Wow.
And I was like, whoa. So 2 years later, I was propositioned to come to a RE/MAX office and made the move. And we were at the same office for 20 years. And this year we made the move to another RE/MAX office, which was another big change in our lives.
Yeah, no kidding. And Cody, how about you? Your background. So obviously, as a little kiddo, you knew the RE/MAX brand, which is hilarious. How long have you been in the business?
I started in 2010. I was in high school. I think that's around the time that my mom switched over to real estate. And I guess our life started to change a little bit. I seen she was golfing, I think she was making more money in a month than she was in a year at Safeway. So I thought, this is a good job. So at 19 years old, I took the test, and that 1 or 2% that my mom got above, I got below. So I failed the course when I was 19, which was good because I needed to mature and get some life experience. So I retook the course when I was 21, and I passed, I think, with flying colors. But definitely took me 2 tries. So I got, school was a lot different. You actually had to go to class, unlike so I was sitting in class. I got to meet a lot of people going through it twice, which is great. But
good networking.
Yeah. And then in 2010, I joined RE/MAX, and I've been there for 15 years and never left.
Okay. So that's great. So you got licensed in 2010, started, and I'm assuming that was when you joined the RE/MAX office your mom was at. Did you two start working together from day one? Like, was there always a LeClair group, or did you run individually?
No, I think that being young and dumb, my mom definitely carried me without question for the first couple of years.
Well, not for 9 months, first of all.
Yeah, 9 months first, and then probably a couple years after. But we don't have an official team in Alberta. I know it's different, but no, we're still not official. And we brand together now, and we kind of started to see that some people like to call females and some like to call males. So we started branding together, and I think it's probably been like 10 years since we started doing that. So, and the way we work is just, we kind of have our own clients. And then if we go on vacation, one covers for the other person, and we don't really charge each other, which is nice. So it's more of a partnership. And then if we have mutual clients together, we just, talk it over and do likely a 50-50 split. We put in the same amount of effort, or something like that.
So if I'm hearing you correctly on the timeline, you were working together for 10 years or so, which means that would have been 2014, 2015. You're working on your own as a solo agent for the first 4 to 5 years.
Yeah. With her giving me leads. So, I mean, we've always worked together. We have a pretty good relationship the whole time. I bicker at her. I know that we're probably not going to bicker, but lots of times on our coaches' calls with Braden, we're definitely giving it to each other.
No. As bonus content, where I'm releasing all of our recorded coaching in the last 7 years. Just get your popcorn ready, folks. That's awesome. So, Kim, for you, even before Cody was licensed, I'm curious, did you ever have another realtor that you worked closely with? Did you ever have a business partner, an assistant, anything like that? Or were you kind of trudging along on your own?
I kind of trudged along on my own. And if you take it back as many years ago, like 22 years ago, our kids were still, we had one young, we didn't have a whole lot of money to go on lots of vacations. So I was around a lot. So for the few times that I went out, I'd always have somebody cover and pay the 25%, or we would do the back and forth stuff. So no, when Cody entered the industry, it became a lot better. Always had somebody to rely on, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. No, it's nice to have that. And I hear Cody on the whole, like, some people want to have a female realtor or a male realtor, but then you also cover the demographic gap as well, right? You have sort of the millennial side locked up, the boomer side locked up. Lord help us when you start getting Gen Z clients, because neither of you, Cody, you're going to have to get your kid a license, one of them a license as soon as possible.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, maybe I'll say whoever wants to answer this question first, fire at it. But as long as I've known you, which I was trying to look it up this morning, and I feel like it's 7 years, which makes me feel old and sad. But 7 years, I believe you were in coaching for 10 years with Richard Robbins, like Allison.
No, I think actually I think we're close to 10, Braden, to
Don't
tell
worry
you the
about
truth.
Oh my gosh. I
With
changed
Braden?
And it's because Cameron's passing happened in 14, and we went back to Allison in 15, and Cody and I were both ready to leave coaching, and she had recommended this young guy that Cody would be able to relate to, and I might be able to relate to, and would be good for a change. And so I think it was like 16 that we joined you.
Yeah, that seems right. I changed email providers around that time, which is probably why I can't track it back. But man, that's unbelievable. Also, just got to give a quick shout out to Coach Allison, because I'm pretty sure that like 98% of my coaching clients came from her at some point over the years. And so, thank you, Allison. You're my rainmaker.
Yeah. Well, she suggested you, and it was awesome. Like, oh, everybody wants Coach B.
Oh, come on now. So, as far as like today's conversation, we're talking about this idea of I did an Instagram story before this podcast about if you're experiencing moderate to severe higher reluctance, like it was an info commercial, but higher reluctance, it's something we've talked about a lot, and as you know, in our industry, I know you've got lots of friends in the business, whether it's in your office or through the Richard Robbins network, where there's this general vibe of I would describe as like clinging on to things. And why we do that is probably a very vast array of reasons. But there's sort of this control, there's this not wanting to let go. Sometimes it's a cost thing, sometimes it's an ego thing. Like there's a lot of contributing factors to why we death cling so many aspects of our business, regardless of whether one, they're valuable, or two, we enjoy them, we still hang on to them. I'm curious, Kim, from your perspective, you've been licensed the longest here. Why have you not hired up until recently? Like, spoiler alert for the listeners, you guys have hired a few people to help you along the way, but what was your inner monologue and narrative around like, I'm just going to do it myself?
It's kind of how I always roll. That's just my DNA and my personality. I could do everything. I'm mom. I can handle it. I don't need anybody. And then you realize that you can't. It's honestly really, when you're raising your kids and you're going, oh, can you vacuum? And they don't, you vacuum. Or can you do the dishes? You do the dishes. And it became, I could do it all. And you always start with good intentions, right?
Did you just put Cody on blast that he didn't vacuum?
No, Cody was good.
Yeah,
Cody always helped. Cody and I have it's really funny that, that
so
we
Candace just got astray. Yeah.
No, it's really funny because Cody and I have always, even from when he was a little boy, we always had a really good relationship. He would give me a hard time, but the same way he does now, but always got along, It's a good thing. So why did I not want to let control?
Yeah.
Just didn't know how, right?
Yeah. And even like another one of those reasons I hear a lot is like kind of that law of inertia. Like I've always done it this way, or it's just a habit. Like it's just so easy. It's who you are. It's how you know how to operate. Right. Cody, from your perspective, obviously, like I acknowledge that you are both in a slightly different position than, say, a traditional solo agent that doesn't have a sibling or a parent in the business. So there is an element of already being able to help each other sort of inherently built into your business. But you kind of stayed as quasi partners team for really as long as I've known you. And so over that period of time, which Kim just brought me up to speed, is close to 10 years. There's also been some reluctance on your end to bring some help in from here or there. And I'm just curious, could you give us some insight into your thinking or how you were feeling or concerns that caused you to kind of not move forward?
I think I walked around the office and seen a lot of receptionists, or not receptionists, assistants helping out with people. And a lot of times, honestly, I seen that they weren't really doing much, or they were getting paid a lot to do what I felt was lots of conversations and not a lot of work getting done. And basically, I didn't know I wanted that. And I talked to another colleague of mine that has an assistant, and he's like, I just pay mine whatever $25 an hour, and I might give her $1,000 or $2,000 a month. Like, it's not. It starts off small and it continually grows. And I think my mindset switched then. I'll give the shout out. It was Waddell that told me. Mike Waddell told me, he's like, yeah, we just, it's not crazy. Like, she's doing a lot and it builds up. And I think that initially I thought I needed to take on a 40-hour a week person and set up the office for them. And I didn't want that. And I wasn't prepared for it because I'm a terrible delegator. I'm still terrible at it. Yeah, we have an assistant and I've been pushing things out, but I'm still a terrible delegator. I'm still doing a lot of things myself. But
okay, but let's back up there for a second. Are you a better delegator today than you were this time last year?
100%. Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
Right? So yeah, you can improve your delegation, but you've come a long way. I've seen it firsthand. And that's an interesting insight. I want to inject a little bit of our curriculum into this conversation around the idea of the snowball hiring strategy, where you're right, Cody, a lot of people do have that traditional mindset, that employer mindset of it's either part-time or it's full-time, and otherwise that's all the options. And so to go around the office and see, people's assistants maybe not always engaged in work, although I think, we shouldn't throw stones in this glass house, because I'm pretty sure there's lots of times I might not be engaged in work. I'm socializing.
Totally.
And that's just part of, a healthy culture and community and whatnot. But I also think time theft is a real thing too. So there's a sweet spot there. But this idea of it has to be 20 hours a week or 40 hours a week or it can't work. It's like, well, no, that's actually not what we've seen. And I think I'd have to listen back to Michael Waddell's interview. But, I think that idea of, well, maybe just start with 5 hours a week when you need it, or 10 hours a week when you need it. We're going to talk about how you've done that later in this interview, but I think that's a much more modern approach to getting the help that we need. When it comes to what you hear from your peers, if you could pretend to be, armchair psychologist for a second, Kim, what are some of the reasons why your colleagues have said they don't want to hire someone or they don't want to get help?
I think with lots of them, it's still a control thing. And then what you hear is people don't know how to do it. Like, so often you looking to find an assistant. How much do you pay them? How do you get them to do the job? That was the big thing with us, not knowing how to delegate.
Yeah, for sure. And so Cody, I mean, from your perspective, this is so funny because this does feel like a coaching conversation. The tipping point for you, because again, we had, it was almost 10 years to an overnight success, right? It's we had this period of time where we worked on lots of stuff over the years, but then eventually you decided to take the plunge and bring someone in to help. And I'm curious, what was going on in your life? What was going on in your business? What was going on in the market? What was the sort of catalyst for you to make this decision? Hey, I need to finally go ahead and do this.
I think I had enough history after 12 or 13 years in real estate of starting every year with an order from Vistaprint with my cards for the year and the birthdays. And I think I'd get to February 15th before everything was completely busy and I couldn't send them out anymore. So it was just constant, repetitive, over and over intentions, and never ended up happening. So I think part of my business was always trying to, I think part of our calls were forever. We were fighting the lifetime referral system. Me and my mom were always looking for new ways to find new people when all of our people were right in front of us. And we weren't servicing our lifetime referral system. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't able to do it. So I just realized that I need to get someone to do it. And that's kind of where we started.
Yeah. So it was just kind of like the fatigue of, I don't want to say failure, but like that fatigue of just like not, and I for the record, I experienced that in my own life in lots of different contexts too. So you just kind of get sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that with my wife with her master's and all of her schooling. Like she's such a hardcore, dedicated student, straight A's through an entire master's program, like incredible. And there'd be moments where she'd be crying over her keyboard, working on it. I'm never going to get it done, or it's not going to be good. And sorry, Mandy, if you listen to this, but it's true. It's true. And then one day, magically, she would just like sit up straight, the tears stop, and she goes, you know what? Send. And you never see it coming. You never see it coming because it's always like, well, she's going to be working away on this thing forever. And then she finally hits, and we call this is my one F-bomb per episode. We call it the fuck it point, where you just reach that point where you're like, you know what? I'm done with this. And then you hit send. And I feel like from my vantage point watching you, Cody, I think that's kind of like you just reached a point. Is that fair to say?
100%. It was both like, it was like the timing was perfect where you can hire someone that's not full-time and I'm not doing it. So it was like the combination of like start small and then just continually build up from that.
If you wanted to skip a step, you could have had Vistaprint just send your stuff right into the garbage can. And that way it would never even had to hit your desk. Well, think about that. How efficient was that?
Yeah, no. I'm not even going to show you.
Don't show me. Jim, from your perspective, I'm curious, was there a tipping point for you? Was there a moment of clarity where you're like, okay, enough is enough. I've reached the F-it point. Like, let's do this. Maybe this was forced on you by Cody. I don't know.
No, I think we were both in a mutual agreement. I'm thinking it's like running a race. And every year you start January with great intentions and we're going to do this and it's going to be awesome. And like Cody said, in February, March, you're disqualified because your cards have not gone out. You've got a pile and you're backed. You don't even know where to start. So you quit. I'm the type of person that when I become overwhelmed, I just stop. So I stopped and nobody got anything. And then you see these cool little things like people sending out cakes to their clients on 1 and 5 year anniversaries. Well, we have all that inputted into our database, but we do nothing with it. We have home anniversaries, we have birthdays, but we're doing nothing with it. And we don't honestly want to do it.
No.
So that's,
you probably want the result I would imagine it's twofold because I know how much you care about your clients. You do want the result in your business of the referral, the repeat client, but you also take a lot of satisfaction from making someone's day. So like sending the thing and making their day feels so good, but then it feels extra shitty when you ordered the thing and didn't send it. And you're like, I didn't make their day. I just wasted money. And also it's not going to grow my business. It's like a triple kick in the shins.
And you know what I think what else happened with me is because I wasn't sending out the cards, I would look on my calendar and do a Facebook or a video and send them a video or text message them. And you know what? Just the response from the people, knowing they really appreciate it. How about going the extra step? Send a video or send a text, and then they're going to get a card in the mail. And, I just like the feeling of what they're feeling.
Totally. And I think that's a great example of like how to pivot if you have to. Like if you don't send it out, you can still, like, to me, I didn't send it out, well, I'm going to send a video anyways. It's like some might argue the video is actually more effective altogether. But I think where the challenge is it's always occupying a place in your mind because you're having to remember to do it because you forgot to do the other thing versus it actually being a system that's telling you to send the birthday video. Or like, oh crap, I didn't send the birthday card. Let me scramble and and it's almost like that little mental toll of all those having to scramble to save the day. Like I feel like that is one of the reasons why, burnout sets in because we're all constantly having to scramble as opposed to having a system. And I just want to underscore something you said there, Kim. You're talking about when you get overwhelmed, what did you say? You said I just
stop and do nothing.
Yeah. So that's one of the two traps that we see people fall into we call it the do nothing or the do everything trap, right? So you see all the work and then you're like, well, the do nothing trap's like, well, that seems like a lot of work. So I'm just going to probably do none of it. versus the do everything, which is, the type A overachievers that want to go, I'm going to do a 10 out of 10 on this, where you've never done even one thing. And then you burn out and you end up in the same place as the do nothing person, because you've seized up. Whereas again, that idea of the snowball strategy, it's a little bit each and every week or each and every quarter, and it adds up over time, but we don't have to do all or nothing. Right. Cody, for you, it was interesting. You never mentioned kids as far as a motivating factor to do any of this. And that may very well be the case, but I know that you've got a couple little ones at home. How old are your kiddos now? Scotty's what, 3?
2.5.
2.5?
Yeah. And Scotty is 10 months.
Yeah, 10 months. So,
yeah.
Did that factor in at all? And it's okay if it didn't. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I'm sure it did. Yeah, for sure. I think
You care to elaborate?
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about how I did. I think the timing kind of just matched up.
Yeah.
I started to put a little bit more effort in, and I got more and more busy. And, especially as I have kids, it's nice to have that time back and know that I'm sitting with my children and getting hey, thank you so much for sending me the birthday card, or all the extra stuff that Lauren's doing. But yeah, definitely. I think it just coincided with the time. I don't know if it was strategic. Like, hey, I had my first kid. I should get an assistant. So,
and we've kind of teased it. And I probably, when I do the intro for this episode, I usually do them afterwards so I can kind of talk about what we talked about. You didn't hire what would typically be most people's assumption of their first hire, which I would say is like your standard textbook administrative assistant. Correct? That was not your first hire.
No.
Okay. How would you describe, if we could give them, even if it's a made up title, what was the role or the position that you hired for?
I think probably just an LRS manager, someone to help with the touches, send out the newsletters, send out the birthday cards, arrange the cakes, help set up parties. Is basically an LRS manager, client care coordinator, I guess.
Yeah. No, I would say, because, LRS, inside baseball language for the Richard Robbins folks, it's lifetime referral system for someone who doesn't know what that means. And what the hell does even lifetime referral system mean? It's just it's a process of database marketing, building relationships, top of mind awareness, repeat and referral. I mean, RRI by no means invented the idea of repeat and referral. I mean, whether it's Buffini or some of those other people, they have their own version of it. But yeah, lifetime referral system is our approach to it. And Cody, that's what you were saying. Like, you'd order your collateral for your touch points, and maybe you'd bang them out in January, and by February you stall out.
Exactly.
Yeah. Awesome. And Kim,
my touches were probably at like 10 to 15. And I think you're supposed to connect with people above 30. So I was just missing out. And at the end of the year, as the year went out, you'd be reviewing the year and you'd be looking at your referrals, and maybe they weren't where you wanted them to be. So that was kind of the point where, again, I said a little bit earlier, me and my mom took some courses, and we were doing some senior stuff, and we're door knocking, and we're doing this and we're doing that. And then we're looking at our referral numbers, and it's like, well, could these be better? The average person knows 3 to 5 people moving a year, and you could build off that. And we're trying to fight it. So that's where we started. Was we quit fighting the referral system, and that's where we hired, is to help us with that.
You've made it this far, which means you're ready for your next breakthrough. If you're tired of trying to figure it out all on your own, let me guide you. Join the waitlist for our next Breakthrough Academy, a 6-week virtual group coaching program where I'll teach you our proven breakthrough method. With live lessons, expert guests, and a cohort of like-minded agents, you'll learn to work less and earn and live more. Visit bradenweecroft.com/academy or find the link in our show notes. Don't wait. Your breakthrough is just around the corner. Kim, what have you noticed from your perspective, having help specifically on the database management side of things? Like, what has that been like for you?
Having help on the database side?
Yeah.
You know what? People are reaching out that I haven't personally talked to, but because they're getting the birthday card and they're getting the anniversary cake that we send, and they're getting the newsletter if they haven't unsubscribed. People that I don't expect to reach back to me are actually reaching back to me and saying, "Hey, thanks for this." And I'm getting referrals that I didn't even think were coming down the pipes.
So have you had that moment where someone says thanks for something and you're like, what are they talking about? I haven't sent them anything. And then you realize, oh, my business sent them something. Has that happened to you, Kim?
Yeah, no, it hasn't. To be totally honest, because people are explicit, thanks for the lotto tickets or thanks for the card.
Yeah.
So I'm not caught off guard. And I know that we only do a couple things.
Yeah.
So it's pretty simple right now.
I want to interject here.
Yeah.
There's definitely times where my millennial people open the mail 2 months later and say thank you. That catches me off guard because I'm like, oh, thanks for the birthday card. We just opened the mail. And I'm like, holy, I look at my contact manager. I'm like, their birthday was 2 months ago. That's how little they open the mail.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's a valid point. I have gotten that too.
Yeah. So why not a standard administrative assistant who uploads your contracts and processes your deals and onboards your listings and all of that? Because that seems like, and again, I want to give the two of you credit here because the sort of textbook teaching is the first thing you should delegate is typically the lowest dollar per hour task. Partly because those are usually the things that you don't enjoy doing and you're usually not very good at them, but also because every time you do stuff like that, you're losing way more money than you would be if you were doing marketing stuff based on like an effective hourly rate perspective. But you're like, well, to hell with you, coach, and your stupid textbook advice. We're going to move up the ladder and hire a marketing manager, which generally is a higher dollar per hour, but it's actually worked out really, really well. And the lesson that I've taken away from that I want to give both of you credit for is what I have told your story to other coaching clients and agents in my brokerage, just saying, well, maybe the first thing you need to do is hire a marketing manager. And they kind of look at me sideways because they've heard me talk about hire the admin person first. But what's interesting is it starts bringing in new revenue faster because they're more consistent with their touch points. And that new revenue ends up allowing them to trail back and then hire the traditional admin assistant. But I want to know, why did you decide to do that?
Because we're terrible, slow learners that don't listen to you.
Yeah, you're like, I'm not going to listen to you fully.
Our answers on most of our calls is because we can do it. And then we just end up doing it. But I want to pull out my hair half the time, I guess. It's hard. It's still hard. I think that we're still learning. I think that we're still learning to delegate.
But why did you just choose the marketing LRS person as opposed to because let me ask you this question. Maybe your brokerage does it for you. Like who uploads your listings into the system? Who processes your deal files when you get an accepted offer? Like who does that stuff?
We weren't failing at that. Sorry, Braden. Our money revenue systems were all in place. We can do paperwork. We can upload our deals. We were doing it all. That's our personality. It was always getting done. But we failed in February. We no longer got a birthday card. So I think that was where we were failing at. Yeah. And that's what we thought that would be the first thing that we need to take care of, touch our clients.
Yeah. Cody, you were going to say something there?
I think we just did everything. Like and I still do it all. And we recently, like our brokerage is moving to a cloud brokerage. So maybe it's just like a hurdle I have in my head. We're going to be switching more to online paperwork rather than submitting PDFs, which was at my old office. We used to do that. So it was a little bit better. But at the end of the day, it's like, I feel like we're going to be going through a transition and our assistant that we do have now is asking for more. So I guess I feel maybe a little bit stuck in like not being able to teach her the way because it's going to be changing right away. Yeah. So it will happen.
Yeah, no, and it's you better believe it will happen. We have a call next week. It's going to start to happen next week. But no, I think it's more like that moment in time decision of being like, okay, I've accepted the fact that I am going to get help. But instead of the textbook traditional help first, which is paperwork stuff, I'm going to get marketing support. And like I said, I want to give you full credit for that because I'm very stubborn and very like linear and process oriented. So I'd be like, that's step 3, guys. Let's get to step 1. And you're like, screw step 1. Let's go to step 3. And it's worked out really well. And it has worked out for other people who've taken a similar approach. I would say if you continue as your business grows to keep doing your own step one support stuff, like assistant stuff, that's where I do think cracks in the foundation will start to show. But as a sequencing of things of where to start, I think it was brilliant the way that you did it. So
Yeah. I guess the one thing I thought or forgot about while I was sitting here thinking is we don't have someone to do it for us to help with the time. But if I'm out showing houses and I need an offer written or something signed or condition removal, I call my mom and she can get it done. So we kind of use each other and bounce off the paperwork to help each other get through it.
Yeah.
But also, like, the assistant we hired was, she is in school full time and she wasn't ready for it. She did recently finish school and, like I said, is asking for more stuff. So the timing kind of worked, and we are going to start delegating more.
And before we move on to the how piece, because I can't wait to hear Kim explain the how now, because as she said, that was what got her stuck before, not knowing how, but now you know. You also added, maybe it's not even a part-time rule, but I understand that you started getting some help with events as well. And that wasn't from Lauren. That was from Ashley. Now, is that she'd been fired? Is
No,
that you're laughing?
She's still helping out.
She's still. So who is that and how did that come about?
Ashley's my wife, and she's on maternity leave for a little bit longer, but she does work from home, and she's a great party planner. Always planning parties or camping or whatever we do. So, we were struggling with that. And I think what comes to my mind is, we hired our LRS person, and then, we went away and we're like, we need someone to help us with parties. And the way that, you bring it up in our call is we might not have a dedicated person to do 40 hours, but our mindset is way more open to have somebody else do it rather than us. We have a design person at our office that charges out $50 an hour, which sounds cheap, which is crazy. It's just our mindset in the whole has changed, I would say. So, we did bring in Ash because she's better at parties, and that's kind of how it went from there.
Well, I love the idea of the, fractional employment and micro hiring. Like instead of hiring, again, even your database marketing person, in theory, events actually fall under the category of database marketing because they're client events. But maybe because of her schedule or her skill set, she wasn't the best party planner. So you go out and get someone who's a specialist at that. And I don't know if you pay her, if it's just foot rubs or both, but nonetheless, Cody, that was a great addition. Having someone who's really good at hiring events. So shout out to Ash. Kim, how does a person go from, okay, fine, I'll do it, to getting someone in place, even if it's 5 hours a week or sort of an as needed thing? Like, how does that happen?
Well, I think Cody and I both sat down and thought about the people that we knew.
Yeah.
And I went to a couple people that I personally knew. One was a real estate assistant for another realtor that she had stepped away from. And then one was a client. So I asked them both, and one was interested and sent me her credentials and what her availability was. And I don't know how Lauren came to the table. I can't remember. I think Cody was more in tune with Lauren than I was. Cody, do you remember?
Yeah, I think I knew that she was in school, and yeah. Honestly, like I said, back to Waddell, I just kind of was thinking about people that he had. Like, I think she was in school also. I think that's what he told me. So I just tried to match up that with what I was looking for, and I recognized that my cousin was in school.
Yeah, Lauren's my first cousin's daughter, so we knew of her, and so we had just approached her if she would be interesting. And was she not taking marketing in school?
Yes.
Yeah, she's taking marketing in school, so that kind of fits the realm. And after having a conversation with her, it was like, yeah, she really wanted to, and we felt this would really work out. So we kind of just stumbled upon her.
And so just so I'm clear, there was no hiring agency, didn't have ads on Indeed it was like you worked your network.
Yes, exactly. And that I kind of would prefer to do that. Maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's not a good thing, because if you have to fire them, it's not a good thing. But Lauren has worked out to be really good.
Yeah. Well, I think there's pros and cons to all approaches. And even just the I don't think I've had a chance to share this with you two yet. But I reached out to our local university in Victoria, UVic, about their intern program, and because there are opportunities to bring someone in on a semester by semester basis to help with certain tasks. Now, I don't think you'd want your client facing admin to be a new person every 3 or 4 months, but if you had some marketing stuff and you could bring a student in where it's one good experience for them to apply what they're learning in, say, marketing school, and two, it gives you the flexibility to not have to commit long term. Like even that as an idea is a great way to sort of dip your toe in the water. So, Cody, you've identified a person from your personal network. Now I want to shine a light on how did you get them up to speed? Like, what did that look like? Was it sit down meetings? Was it on Zoom? Did you use technology? Was it all written in a binder? Like, what was the process of getting Lauren up to speed?
Definitely lots of meetings, sit downs, talking. Yeah, we meet probably every couple weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, sit down, talk for an hour, get a game plan together. We're constantly getting better at it.
So what would it look like if you were making the training manual for me to give to people? Because this is how lazy I am. I want you to do all the work for me. If let's pick the one process or one task. So in your database marketing, I know you send out birthday cards. So if the conversation was like, okay, Lauren, I want you to send out birthday cards to our database. How do you explain that to her or anyone who's helping? Like what resources do you give them so that they have something to follow on, so they're not having to ask you 37 times how to do it? What does that look like?
Yeah, luckily she never ever asked twice how to do something. So, I mean, there's a couple resources, right? We sat down with her. I did record some things. We use Hippo. So I did record some Hippo videos of screen to screen on what to do as a resource. So that's been something that we've done on some of the training.
Screen recording software. Like,
yeah,
you can do that on Zoom. You can do that with Loom. You can do that.
Scribe is pretty good if you wanted to do that. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So you would do that. And then would you send it to her and say, fly at it? Or would you say like, why don't you do a test first so I can see? Or would you do it shoulder to shoulder? Like, what was the process?
No. You got to let it go. Just let it go.
Tell me more about that.
We trust that you're going to get it done. And she does, because the results are there, right? People are messaging you and saying thank you. So,
and how do you communicate when things have to be done? Like, I know some things fall nicely on a calendar, like birthdays as an example, versus some things like if it's a referral thank you system, that is typically triggered by an event taking place, i.e. a referral comes in. How do you, and maybe we haven't done event-based stuff with her, maybe she's only running calendar-based stuff, but what's your approach to make sure she knows what the expectations are for either the day, the week, the month, the quarter, etc.?
I think a lot of communication would be like just making sure they're aware to know what to do, because they can't read your mind.
Yeah.
So
is there a list that they can refer to, or a calendar or anything like that?
Yeah, like we have been using Exact.
Yeah.
So I think you could refer to that.
For sure. Kim, anything come up from your perspective of like, if I was sitting down and mentoring a new agent in my office, this is how I would show them how to hand over a task like this? What would you say?
What would I say? Well, I think that I would kind of be lost with that new agent, to be totally honest, because I think Lauren's been a dream.
Yeah.
We just tell her what we want done. And because she's got that marketing background and she knows how we roll, she's the one kicking us in the butt all the time, saying, okay, you guys, what's happening? Or, sending us a text message. We've showed her the birthday and anniversary stuff on our Exact probably once.
Yeah.
And she's developed her own system to roll with it. Which is good. We haven't had to develop a system, and that's kind of what we appreciate about her. So what would I tell somebody that's looking for someone, and how would they do it? I'm not exactly sure, because we didn't have to do that.
I can jump in here and help and say what you're doing is you're making the case for hiring what we refer to as like an A level employee, like an A caliber employee. There's a great book called Who? I think it's by Brian Smart. And it talked about like their method for hiring A+ level people. And so you're describing to me, like when you hire someone that's really competent and smart, educated, even if it's exclusively just in that domain, you can kind of get out of their way, which is a really nice thing, right? Like, like leverage is me giving you a checklist and you following through. Like super leverage or capital L leverage is when I give you the checklist, you look at it and go, well, these 3 steps are not efficient. And then you rate the checklist even better. It's like, oh, I'm not actually telling you what to do. I'm telling you the outcome that I want. And you're finding the best way to get there. And it's like that to me, when you can have people on your team that operate like that, it's such a weight off the shoulders as the business owner.
Yeah. And I would interject there and say with that, the marketing side is great, but like, why have we not delegated on the real estate side of the paperwork?
Yeah.
She doesn't know it. So, I have recorded hippo videos for her, and it's just like, it's repetition, right?
Yeah.
You got to get used to it. You got to stay on top of it, and you got to have a bullet point of what you want done.
So as we start to land the plane here, I'm curious to know on the results side of the equation, how long has it been since Lauren's been on the team?
I think 2 years.
2 years?
2 years.
Okay. So what would you say, Kim, has changed in your business since bringing her on, specifically to help with database marketing?
What's changed is, like I said before, is people are reaching out that I didn't really expect to have reaching out. And what a good feeling. Like this week, I got a call from one of my first clients 22 years ago.
Wow.
And they want to sell their house. And that's because Lauren's sending them, a cake, and Lauren's sending them birthday cards and the consistent newsletter. So I just feel that the consistency, it's just a couple more touches that we're getting, but it's the personal touch
Yeah.
that's made a difference in my business.
Yeah. Cody, how about you? For you, what's changed since making that hire?
I said it earlier before. I'm an extremely slow learner, and
Those are my favorite clients, for the record.
Yeah, definitely. Like job security for Braden is 10 years, and I'm finally starting to listen. I think that it's just allowing me time. You tell me a lot that I need to do this, and I'm one of those people that you tell me before and I don't listen, and then I get burned, and then I listen after. So, what have we done? I guess is like, we're on this podcast and we're talking about our assistant Lauren, but it's mostly just like our mindset all across the board, and just trying to do less and use the many resources that we have that are in front of us, that are willing to help you. So Lauren does a small portion of what we're doing. And like I said, we have our website designer at our office. We have this designer. We have Ashley planning parties. Like, it's more a collective team, and like our vision is much more clear together. And as I continually get better, as the results are starting to show more and more and more, I'm learning, because I'm getting burned, that, I need someone else to do this paperwork, because I could do it until you can't, right? And then you're falling behind. And, I didn't have 2 kids before, and for the first 13 years of real estate. And, I'm fully aware that, I'm not spending as much time, and I'm running out, and I'm staying up late, handing in paperwork, and it's not fair to my family, I would say. So, again, get burned, but I know what I have to do, right? I'm not sitting here like pulling my hair out, knowing what I don't have to do. It's like, who, not me, right? That's why I keep telling myself, who can do this for me, because I can't. And I'm trying to change my business so that more and more people, and it doesn't just have to be one person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. And Cody, I want to keep, you mentioned mindset. So let's keep it between the ears. I'm curious, how has this affected your stress levels? I mean, I don't want to assume it's made it less stressful. Maybe having someone helping you is more stressful. That I'm curious, but like, how is your overall like overwhelm, stress, job satisfaction? What does that look like since starting to let go?
Well, it's way better. Yeah. Like I don't think I was stressed, but more like, as a human being, I don't get too stressed, but I think just like more completed, more self happy, that like the things that you've been trying to do for 13 years are being done. So
yeah, a sense of accomplishment feels good.
Yeah, accomplish. Yeah. Like, yeah, you're totally sitting there feeling like you go to your business plan in November, October, whenever you're doing it, you just feel like, oh my God, I never reached the 36 touches. I never did this. I never did that. And you just like, you're always starting off the year a little bit let down. And now you're just like, you have things rolling. You have things that are happening that you're not doing.
Momentum can cut both ways, but it's sure nice when it's pushing you in the right direction.
Totally.
Yeah. Kim, how about you? How has it showed up at all for you in your work-life balance, your stress levels, your anything like that? Has it moved the needle for you? You're such a like in all the time I've known you, you're just such a steady, easygoing person. So I can, it's hard to tell if you've ever been stressed in the business at times. So what's it been like for you?
And you're right, totally. I just take the ebbs and valleys as they go, and I just go with it.
Yeah.
And what's it been like for me? Listening to Cody, I sit there and think I think more who can do this. And we had a nice little meeting with Lauren, and I'm thinking, they're talking all of this stuff, and I'm thinking, who can do this?
Mhm.
And when we're doing all this positive stuff, I think it elevates your sense of confidence that you're looking more professional
Mhm.
and feeling more professional, and it kind of shows around you, and the people around you sense that you're feeling better about your business, and you're feeling good, and you're doing all these good things, and it comes back to you.
Yeah. I love that. Love that. Okay. So, last couple questions here as we close things out. So I'm curious if you could go back in time, I don't know, 7 years ago and talk to yourself. What would your advice be to your pre-assistant self? What would you have said? Or what guidance or steps would you have given that version of you?
I'm going to say just don't overthink it and find, there's so many resources nowadays. There's AI, there's virtual assistants, there's just so many ways for things to be set up for you. Don't overthink it. Find the right person or persons and learn to let go and know what's getting done. And you aren't the best at everything. You can't be.
Yeah. Kim, how about yourself? What would you say to yourself 7 years ago?
I think 70 years ago, we were looking for the right person and not knowing where to look. I think just take that first step. Just do something rather than nothing. And if you fail, at least you've learned something there, but continue to do it, because it just makes you want to work smarter and not harder.
Yeah. I totally agree. And I don't know if this will make the title for the episode or not, because I have a copywriter who helps me with it, and she's much better at the job than I am. But I wrote to myself was, your first hire doesn't have to be forever or full time.
No,
Like we sometimes have this pressure that like it has to be forever. It's like, no, you're not getting married to this person. Unless it's Ashley, Cody, then it is forever. So you better be on your best behavior.
Yeah, she'll keep up with the parties.
Yeah. Okay, so I always like to close out with this question, but I got a special bonus question for you, Cody, afterwards. But I'm curious, Kim, what would you do with an extra 10 hours a week if you could take that and still know your business would grow? What would you do?
well, I might put in, for shits and giggles, I could say pick raspberries, but no, I won't. I would golf. I would probably go golf, because this year I'm really finding that I'm getting better. So I would do that. I would put in a couple more days to golf.
I love that. Cody, how about you? If you could get 10 hours a week back and know your business would still grow, what would you do?
Yeah, I think it's for sure golf, but definitely hang out with my family a little bit more.
Yeah.
I do have a great life thanks to real estate. Like I do take my kid to daycare, and I try to pick him up, my one kid in daycare, and Scotty loves me a lot. So he's just waking up. It's crazy. He doesn't let me put him down. He's all like, he heard me on the phone yesterday. He was just like so happy. It's cool. He's getting a personality, but yeah, family and golf for sure.
In that order, or would it be golf and family?
Yeah, together. Pretty soon, like both boys, my boy's name's Scotty and Brooks, and they're both named after golfers. So, in due time, it will be.
They're not going to like golf.
Yeah.
It'll be together.
Yeah, I'm going to teach them how to play basketball, and it's going to ruin your dreams. Last question for you, Cody. Is that dress shirt a rental? Because I don't think I've ever seen you wear a collar.
Yes, rental. Yeah.
Okay, well, you better take it back. Thank you for doing this. This was awesome. It's kind of a trip, to be honest, to have been on the sidelines with, cheering you on for so long, and to see this happen, and to be here now to like shine a light on the success. Like it's goosebumpy actually. So thank you for that. And you better bring your A game next week on our next call, because you better believe I am.
Okay. And just to show that this dress shirt is not even just fake, I have shorts on.
It's not an AI generated dress shirt.
No, that's real shorts. So after this, I have one video to take, and then it's straight back to t-shirt and I think we're going to love it.
I love it.
Thanks a lot.
Okay. Thanks guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Braden.
Thanks for tuning in to Breakthrough with Coach B. If you're ready to let go in order to grow, visit bradenweekroft.com for free and paid resources to help you take the next step. Your future self will thank you. Until next time, here's to your breakthrough.